Okay, so this lesson I think is dedicated to Shira Beth's new granddaughter, baby granddaughter, and Mazal Tov, and also someone who's not usually on our screen, but may be joining us tomorrow. Margie Gilliman just lost a cat that she had found at the synagogue and adopted at the synagogue back in St. Louis, and she just lost the cat, and we are in sympathy with Margie and her loss. So, okay. Sure, I can find, yes. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And we are talking about various symptoms and their accompanying diagnoses regarding Tzara'at, which is again have to always do the disclaimer about leprosy, the disease that is translated as leprosy in the Bible. And we are talking now about a different manifestation. So we had been talking about a situation where where one had received a wound by beating. And this, I believe, we're talking here about burning, where the skin was burned. So, in other words, ways in which it hadn't just sprouted spontaneously, but was on account of some external event that where the skin was affected. So, or vasar, or flesh, which is in its skin, in the skin, right? A burned spot, a place that is burned with fire. And as this burn spot is healing, right? That part of the burn spot that is healing, by Heret Levana, a white area, a bright area, Adam Demet, we said that is reddish, possibly with red streaks, or Levana, or completely white. So white or with reddish streaks in this area that is getting healed from the burn, as the burn is getting healed. Let's take a look at, okay, we're going on. Let's take a look. Here we go. Okay. Michyat hamichva. Let's see. I think, yes, the healed part of the burn. And he says, sanemont, right? Which sounds very similar to health, right? An old French word for health. And here we go, Gesundheit, right? So when you tell somebody Gesundheit, it means be healthy, right? Health. Balaz in obviously in medieval French or the Yiddish. And of course, the reason it's in parentheses here is because, of course, it was added by the editor of this particular Rashi text. And he says, when the burned area is healing, right? When it's healed, and it's changed, it altered its look into a bright spot, petucha, variegated, meaning, of course, streaked, multicolored, or two-colored, or levana halaka, smooth, white and smooth, V'simane michva. And Rashi points out that the indications, the symptoms of a burn, v'simane shchin, and the indications, and shchin was what we were talking about before, which was like an inflammation, shavim hem. He says they're exactly the same. So the symptoms are the same. And the question, of course, is, here we go, quoting from the Talmud, V'lama chalkan. So why does scripture, I'm sure the next word is hakatuv, which means scripture. So why does scripture distinguish between them? Lomar, it teaches us, she'ein mitztarfin ze im ze, that, and he's going to explain in what practical sense we're talking about. That is to say, one doesn't blend they don't conjoin one with the other. Here we go. Nolad chatzi gris bishchin. Suppose the size of this boil, that is this leprous indication, this bright spot, this variegated spot, is the size of half a gris, which is half a bean. So that is a size by which a minimum size of something. So suppose that size is half the size of a bean, v'chatzi gris b'michva, and it's half a size of a bean in the burn. Lo yadunu kigris. It should not be considered like the size of a bean, and the size of this gris, of this particular bean, is the minimum size for it to be considered leprous. In other words, if this part of the tradition is that if the priest is diagnosing and he's observing these particular things, so suppose any one of these indications are less than the size of a bean, it is not considered tzara'at. It has to have a minimum size. And that's either part of simply the oral tradition, or there may be some scriptural indication, which we have not come across, to indicate that that's the size of this particular condition. So that's why scripture distinguishes them, to say they should not be linked together in terms of determining whether someone has tzara'at or not. Okay. Let's go on. I think we're back here. Yeah. Here we go. V'ra'ah kohen, and the priest is seeing it, looks at it. V'hinei nefach sa'ar lavan. It goes, so the Torah goes on to describe in more detail the way in which this looks, right? And behold, it has changed, right? It's turned into there is a white hair, babaheret, in this bright spot. There's a white hair. Umar'eh ha'amok, and when you look at this, we've had this phrase before when we were talking about shkin, right? And the way in which this bright spot looks, amok min ha'or, it looks as if it's deeper than the skin surrounding it. And Rashi explained that, like, when you look at the shadow of something on the ground, the light around the shadow looks as if it's deeper than the shadow. And that's the idea of something bright looking deeper. And the point that Rashi is making is that this word mar'eh, in other words, its appearance, it's not that it's actually physically deeper, but rather that its appearance looks as if it's deeper, and tzara'at hi, it is considered tzara'at. B'michva, in this wound, right, or this place where the person has suffered some kind of striking, right? Paracha, it has spread. V'timei oto hakohen, the priest should consider him impure. He should declare him impure. Nega tzara'at, it is indeed the plague of leprosy. Going on. There's not a lot of Rashi here, partially because there are similarities here. The imir ena hakohen, and if the priest sees v'hinei ein babaheret se'ar lavan, and indeed in this bright spot there is no white hair, ushfala einena min ha'or, and it doesn't look lower than the surrounding skin, vehi keha, and in fact it's faded. This brightness, or the wound itself, whatever, has faded. It hasn't become more distinct, but it's rather faded. Vehiskiro hakohen shivat yamim. The priest should put him in seclusion for 7 days. Okay. Literally, hiskiro would mean to shut him up, right? To put him in this situation where he doesn't see anyone else.
Quarantine.
Yeah, quarantine. Thank you. I was struggling for the word. I don't know if it's a sign of aging or something. At any rate, yes, those 7 days. V'ra'ahu hakohen bayom hashvi'i, and the priest should look at him on the seventh day. On the seventh day. Im paso tifse ba'or, if in fact this place where this bright spot is has spread in the skin, v'timeh hakohenotor. At that point, the priest declares him impure. Nega tzara'at, and basically with the impurity of tzara'at. Im tachtea tamod habaheret, right? But if in fact the baheret, this bright spot, has stayed the same, right? It has not continued to spread at all. Lo pasta. In fact, I mean, the Torah just puts it in both a positive and a negative sense. It has not spread. In other words, it remains the same, has not spread, ba'or, in the skin, vehi, and in fact, it is faded. Se'et hamichvahi, it's considered a swelling of the burn, of the burn. V'tiharo hakohen, and the priest should declare him pure. Ki tzarevet hamichvahi, and we've had this word tzarevet before when we were talking about shchin. It is considered a scar from the burn. And we also mentioned that the tzarevet is related, Rashi pointed out, to a word that means shriveling or drying up, something like that, that when something dries, it shrivels. So that's it. Okay. So we can go on a little bit more, unless there are comments at this point. Okay. Ve'ish or isha, a man or a woman, kiyevo naga, who has this kind of affliction. And so barosh or vazakan. But now we're talking about Tzara'at in the head or in the beard. Barosh or vazakan. Baha katuv lechalek. So scripture comes to distinguish bein nega shebamakom sa'ar, the nega shebamakom basar. It comes to make a distinction between this affliction which is in a place where there is hair, as opposed to when it is in a place of flesh. Shezeh simano b'sa'ar lavan, v'zeh simano b'sa'ar tzahov. That these are its indications in white hair, and these are its indications with yellow or gold hair. Lauren, was there, you have something?
Well, it's a little off subject, but zakan means beard, and I assume it's related to the word that means elder.
Yes, it does. That someone who is elder has a beard. It's a sign of age, of aging.
So yeah, okay. So elder's definitely referring to male.
Absolutely. But it can be zakena. That's an elderly woman.
Oh, okay.
It's a
But
feminine
hopefully
form of,
not with a beard, but maybe a little bit.
right, but it's associated with it. Of course, I'm sure there are many women who would appreciate not having any kind of hair on growth on their face whatsoever. Yes, I think it just what happened was it got associated, but I think the initial meaning has to do with beard, and then got associated with age and an aging man, and then simply feminized to an aging woman.
So this a sign language word for Jew is
Yes.
beard.
Right, right. I guess, well, remember there's certain prohibitions against shaving, right? And that are elsewhere in the Torah. So that's possibly one reason. So, okay, cool. V'ra'ah hakohen et hanega, and the priest sees this affliction, right? Vehine, and behold, and indeed, mar'ehu amok min ha'or. Its appearance is deeper than the surrounding skin. Ovo se'ar tzahov dak. And now it doesn't talk about lavan. It talks about, and in it, there is yellow skin. And dak means thin.
Yellow hair.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I say skin? Forgive me. Right. Yes, yellow hair. V'timei oto hakohen, and the kohen, the priest, should declare him impure. And the word netek is a specific word applied to this. Lauren, if you have a handy translation there, I'll take.
It says netek in the English.
I love it. Okay, very good. I think I've seen some kinds of translations of it, but I'm not going to look it up right now. I will look it up later. Tzara'at harosh, it is considered a tzara'at of the head, or hazakan, or the beard, who indeed it is. That's what it is. Okay, let's go on. It's Rashi. Barosh or bazakan, either in the head or in the beard. Bahakatu, wait a second. We did this. We did this. Sorry. Next one. Uvor sa'ar tzahov. And in it, it has yellow hair. Shenepach sa'ar shachor. The point is that the black hair has transformed shebo, shachor shebo letzahov. That's what's happened is the black hair that is there has turned yellow. Netekhu. So Rashi says, so kach shmo, that's its name. It's called, this particular condition or symptom is called a netek. Right? That's what he's saying. That's what it's called. Shel nega sheba makom sa'ar. He says of a nega, of this particular affliction that is in the place where it affects the hair, in the place where there's hair. Let's keep going. Let's see if I have anything back here at all.
I Googled it and I'm finding disconnect or disconnection for netek.
Okay. Yes, take means to separate. And there must be some connection of that. I can take a moment and we can look at Jastro and I can help, we can take a look at it. So what I'll do is I'll go to I'll see if I can get the Jastro for us. Let me see if I can. 1 second. All right, let me see what I can do here. Yep, there it is. So what I need to do is look up here. Hopefully it's going to change with, okay, did the page just change for you? Yes? No?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I need to know because sometimes it shares and sometimes it doesn't. So let's take a look at so here's the word netek. Okay, you didn't see that, but here we go. So I'm going down here and it should be somewhere in there. Let's take a look at netek.
We see it now.
Yeah, right.
About halfway down.
Right, there it is. So there's the verb, take, to break loose, to tear out. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see if there's a noun somewhere. Here we go. Netek, torn out, blanched, spot on the head. This is how wonderful Jastro is. There's the word. Okay. And it's
Sounds
related.
kind of like an adjective, but
Yeah. Well, he says it's a noun and would be masculine noun. Okay. So, okay, blanched spot. I'll put that in there. Okay. So, yeah, hold on a second. Maybe go back in there. It's helpful. Let's see if I can do this. There we are. Now I have to just try and remember that that's what it means. And I'm putting down the reference, the Jastro reference. Okay. There we are. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Right. Let's see if there's a little bit more. Okay. Let's stop here. I'm going to put in the little marking. And with God's help, we'll do a little more tomorrow. And we are hopefully moving through this. And yeah. Good. I'm going to stop the share. And if there are any comments on Nice to see Sam Belsky join us as well. So nice. One of these days we may have a minion again. So, all right. So again, just whatever the symbolism, etc. I mean, this is obviously very arcane material, but we're getting a sense of it and studying it, and then this is getting to understand a little bit better these issues. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.